Guys, Boxing Gossip here. It's fight night. Crawler versus Linares. Looking forward to the main event. Started the night, watched Hosea Burton, now onto the Conor Benn fight. And Conor Benn wins by a whitewash over 6 rounds against his opponent. Let me say, I was not impressed by Conor Benn tonight. Conor Benn, at the start of his career, I thought he was very overrated. The last few fights, I thought he'd improved and was showing a lot more attributes. In this particular fight, I thought it was a bit of a step back. For a start, this decision for Conor Benn to be fighting at welterweight, in my opinion, is a really, really poor decision. I actually think he's a 135 pounder. I don't think he's big enough for 140, if I'm being honest, let alone 147 pounds. And we saw that today when he was fighting at 147. The weight behind his punch just wasn't there. This guy he was in with had had 2 fights, won one, lost one. And the guy he'd lost to had had a massive losing record. So this guy wasn't really a fighter of any note. And I thought he was giving Conor Benn problems in there. It's not that Conor Benn needs to be icing these guys with one-punch knockouts. That's not what I expect. But I didn't really feel Conor Benn had the power to keep this guy off him. And that allowed this guy to surge forward and not really to be sort of perturbed by what Conor Benn was offering. So I think the power and the size will really go against Conor Benn if he keeps fighting at 147. And I think that, especially with him being such a youngster, you're going to be coming up against bigger men who are, 27, 28 years old, like this guy was today. And they're just going to be very rough and tough compared to the guys we've seen him in his career to date. So I really do think 147 is a mistake. And I'd like to see Conor Benn make 140, let alone, if not 135. Today I felt Conor Benn was judging the distance quite poorly. He had a tendency to get in too close and smother his work. The guy he was fighting was actually fairly smart in his ability to get low and, he'd kind of bend down, give a bit of head movement. And what you'd see is Conor Benn swinging quite wildly and missing, real inaccuracy in there, which to me wasn't good, really wasn't good. And I think because he was getting a bit too close, he didn't have time to make the adjustment. What I'd have liked to have seen him do is take a step back, keep that sort of punching range between him and his opponent, and maybe then he could start to try and pick shots to the body or, that sort of thing. But I felt he was over-eager, I felt he was sloppy, a bit inaccurate, and all in all, I wasn't impressed by his performance here. He didn't look to me like a British champion in the making on this particular fight. I know it's very early days in his career, and I know he's performed better in fights than this before, so maybe if he can get down to 140 pounds, and be a bit less eager, maybe we're going to see him having a much higher upside. But right now, if you told me that I could have a stake in Ahara Davies or I could have a stake in Conor Benn, to be honest, Ahara Davies is the one I'd want to be on. For me, he's just... the lack of amateur pedigree is obvious in there. He's very green, he's very raw, he's quite frantic, and I'm just not seeing the smoothest, classiest operator when I look at him in the ring. And I think that power and snap to his work, unfortunately, is going to be less evident at 147. I think we're going to see a faster, more dangerous fighter at the lower weight classes. Anyway guys, that's my thought. I always tend to do a video on Conor Benn. Obviously he's a bit of a star, so there we go. But let me know your thoughts on this fight. Am I being a bit harsh? Where do you think Conor Benn will go? He's 5 fights in now, he's just done his first 6-rounder. Are you seeing a Southern Area champion? Are you seeing an English champion, a British champion? Or are you one of those who believes he'll be a dominant world champion? Let me know your thoughts, people. If you've enjoyed this video, take the time to hit the thumbs up button. I'm going to do a Crawler Linares video later on, so take the time to subscribe so you can check that out. Many thanks for watching.